I mean, usually people don't like to be on jury duty. Although, I guess, not wanting to be in court and being on the stand if you're accused of murder or any other crime, also probably not fun. As I've already stated quite a few times, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is tampering with the scene of the crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime, while pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene. Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan Corrida was dead. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of the knife and button. That act is what I was referring to when I said my client had broken the rules. This is the most unexpected turn of events. For the 5th time now? However, this time, everything has finally been revealed. Objection! Just a second, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? We still have to cross-examination to do. But you don't need to question testimony like this. Do you, Mr. Wright? Your Honor, the defense will question the witness. As if I have a choice here! Huh? Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial to the defense's case. If you scrutinize the testimony, then I'll expose the lies in that oh-so-beneficial testimony, I suppose. I don't understand what's going on anymore. That makes 2 of us. Oh, you understand exactly what's going on, Phoenix. You're just stalling for time to save Maya. We all know that. Okay, so Adrian Andrews tampering while pretending to be the first person and entering the scene. She already knew from the beginning that Juan was dead. That is going to be the first thing that I could see. Planting the knife and button. So kind of the thing that I am looking at would be the fact that she went in and basically, like, pretended that it was a stab. Miss Andrews was carrying the calling card, though. And that's kind of the big thing. Why would she have the calling card then? Like, that makes no sense, and I feel like that might be the key here. But let's go ahead and press everything and see what we get. What is it, Mr. Wright? If I press him the wrong way, it might raise suspicions on his end. I have to do something to waste more time. Witness, about requesting a hit. Yes. How much is your fee? I see you're also quite a dark-hearted man, Mr. Attorney. Huh? If you would like to talk business, we can do so after the trial. Ah! No! I'm not thinking of her! Mr. Wright! Yes? You! You want to kill me! You want me dead! Don't you? What? Why would you think something like that, Your Honor? Guilty! Mr. Phoenix Wright, you are hereby declared guilty! Witness, let's continue. Why'd you disclose the name of your client? They are your client, are they not? That was totally worth it. The great thing is that did not lead to a penalty or a game over. God, I love just the silly banter that the judge does. That was great. I would think that most people wouldn't be able to overlook a person hiring another to kill. If I had a problem with such a thing, I wouldn't be very effective at my job. Yeah. A little change of occupation might be good for you. However, I will say this. Even though I am the one that does the deed, my clients are always the real guilty party. That goes without saying, Mr. the Killer. And their fate is to live with the knowledge of their guilt on their shoulders. However, my client this time thought that they could run away from their guilt. Which doesn't make any sense. Like, why would she very much implicate herself? I guess the idea is that she's trying to frame Matt. And in the killer's way, there would be nothing to have implicated Matt at all at the scene of the crime. So, like, that's basically what his thing for hire is. It's just to kill. Just for the person to wind up dead and there be nothing to implicate anyone. So that's what I think that the angle that the killer is going at. But again, we gotta find a contradiction somewhere that we could really nail down that no, it in fact was not Adrian. Are you talking about the button and the knife? Yes, and my business card. Oh, this card. So that no one has to waste their time, including the police. I always make it a point to make things as easy as possible. You try to make things easy? My business card makes it very easy to identify who carried out the service. He's very devoted to his work. But to disregard everything, to go and stab the deceased with a knife, even hide my card from sight, that is something I cannot overlook. Huh. It's really hard to tell if he's being truthful or not without him being here. Okay, so yeah, so basically it is all that and taking the card. Which again, why did she take the card? Unless... Well, no! No, she didn't take the card! At least I don't think she ended up taking the card. Right? What did she say? What did she say that how she ended up with the card? It seemed as though like she had absent-mindedly took it, which again feels very off. So, yeah, where was the card and why did Adrian took it if indeed she took it? While pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene. So you're saying most clients wouldn't do such a thing? That is correct. Usually, most people try to create an alibi for themselves. If you should use my services, Mr. Attorney, I would suggest you plan your alibi too. No, I already told you I have no intention of using your services. Ever. I don't believe you. Why does he keep looking at me like I'm the one on trial here? Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan was dead. From the very beginning? That is correct. From before my client visited the room. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. I wonder if that's really true. That's odd. So yeah, that might be it. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of the knife and button. So why do you think your client did that? What do you mean by why? Well, fiddling around at the scene of the crime is pretty risky. And why would someone who has requested a murder go to the crime scene anyway? That is true. I assume it was probably done to frame Mr. On Guard. If that's the case, then why didn't the person just request that you do it? Sadly, that is not possible. Huh? My job is to kill, that is all, and to leave my business card behind, naturally. The business card is so my clients may escape blame, To protect them is my duty. Even if they say it's for revenge, setting someone else up to take your fall. That is the act when I said that my client had broken the rules. And that's all you have to testify. Yes, and I pray that I will never be called to the stand again. Again? As if you plan to continue? I must, as I've yet to find a person to take my place and become the 4th successor. Actually, how would you like a new life, Mr. Attorney? Excuse me? No. I'm fine. Really. Are you really now? I wonder what kind of man the judge thinks I am now. What are you going to do now, Phoenix? All I can do is expose the lies. It's true. However, you realize that will be very bad for our client, right? I'm so confused! But the one thing I know for sure is I can't let this trial end yet. Yeah, we still gotta save Maya. Okay. So this should be the one. Adrian Andrews already knew that Juan was dead. Before my client visited the room, all my clients know precisely what the situation is. And Edgeworth comments on that. So it's probably this one. So how do we know that Adrian didn't already know that Juan was dead? I mean, there's the wine glass. Because he didn't mention anything about the wine glass. Let's see. So, exempting the knife and the button. If we take Adrian Andrews' testimony at face value, because we should, she basically went in, assumed he was asleep, poured him a glass of tomato juice, and then put it down. There's the spy camera, I suppose. None of these is going to help us. If what we basically need to do is determine how did we know that Adrian didn't know that Juan was dead. Might be the camera. Honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, why was Matt the one to spot? But I don't think I should be looking at that. I think that's taking it, like, skipping ahead. We need to show how exactly we know that Adrian didn't already know that Matt was dead. Just be from the crime scene photo? I don't think the crime scene photo by itself absolves that. There's also the guitar case, maybe. Or the press conference. No, the press conference, I guess, could be argued that that was her alibi. And then there's the fact that, oh, well, what about just trying to like, I guess the idea is that the press conference was more as a double stab. It's meant as basically a ruse to bring Juan into a false sense of security and blame Matt for the murder. I'm guessing that's what it was. There's also the photo, but I don't think the photo does anything. That just says that Adrian leapt in the Nickel Samurai costume. Which, And I don't think the card does, because the card would indicate that Juan was already dead. Is it just the wine glass? I don't know. I think I've been doing well enough. I'm gonna go ahead and just make a save state. The less stuff I have to go in case something screwy happens, the better. So if Adrian already knew that Juan was dead, why pour the... I guess... Because I'm trying to think, like, what would be something that would be definitive? If we go from the angle that he's telling the truth, which we know he's not, but if we assume he's telling the truth, then what about the wine glass? Why would she then implicate herself? And it could just be like, oh, well, she was the one to come into the scene. But again, if she already knew that he was dead, why pour the wine glass in the first place? Why implicate yourself? Hey! Thank you so much for taking the time to testify, Mr. DeKiller. What is the meaning of that attitude? When Adrian Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea that Juan Corrida had been murdered. But how? How do you know that? From this wine glass, Your Honor. The glass? Mr. DeKiller's supposed client thought Mr. Corrida had only fainted, which is why this glass of tomatoes juice was poured for the victim. But isn't that just a part of Adrian Andrews' calculated plan? That is not possible, Your Honor. This glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would have never left their fingerprints behind. I see your point. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion? Strangely enough, I had the same exact thought just now. Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon? Isn't it a waste of time to ask about such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct? I'm afraid you're mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client, as you claim, then your client should have had knowledge of Mr. Corrida's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews was never your client at all! How strange. Yes? Why is it that the attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation? Phoenix, if DeKiller figures out what we're up to, we're in real trouble. Yeah, I know. Objection! Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised. You know you can't say things like that without any evidence. Sorry. Well, that was an awfully weak objection for the two of you. Anyway, I'm positive that there is a contradiction in that testimony. The prosecution requests further testimony concerning when the request was taken. Very well. Right now I have to buy us more time. While we wait for the items DeKiller left behind to get here. I just know that the very outcome of this trial lies with those items. More testimony! This request came to me, about a week ago. It was a request for my services on the night of the awards ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That is what occurred. I trust my memory, and I believe I have made no mistakes. So you physically met your client, huh? That is correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building my trust, in my opinion. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Okay. None of that really seems contradictory. Request came about a week ago. Service at the night of the awards. We met at a bar. And that's it. 1 week ago? Are you sure? Yes, I'm quite sure. I, of course, had my own preparations. And I was barely able to finish. When you request my services, Mr. Attorney, I hope you will keep that in mind. Please, stop! In any case, my client, this time, had a very specific date and time in mind. A specific date and time? This is where I think we could probably get Matt with the camera, because we can connect him to that. There's a request for my services at the night of the awards ceremony. Did you ask why on that specific night? No. I try to fulfill all the conditions of my client's request. But as for why, I only had my suspicions. Your suspicions, huh? So what are these suspicions you had? Why did your client request that night? I'm sure it was all for the bear. The bear? My client spoke of it. I'm sure there will be a bear-shaped figurine in Juan Corrida's room. I would like you to retrieve that item for me. You must be talking about this bear puzzle. Inside that figurine was a suicide note. Naturally, the victim brought it with him to his hotel room. He was planning to publicly disclose its contents at the press conference, after all. That is correct. And if I had not done the job that night, I would not have known where that bear figurine was. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance? Yes. Because she already knew how to open it, and it was found at Matt's manor. Like it makes no sense for her to do that. I'm gonna say it's not important and come back to it because I wanted to do the other testimony. I'm pretty sure this is the right one. What the killer said sounds plausible, but in the end, it's just his conjecture. No, Your Honor. I don't think it's very important. Okay, so let's go ahead and check the other testimony before we try doing that. So you physically met Adrian Andrews, right? Of course I did. What was that? What was with the brief pause? Witness, I would like for you to give us a few more details. I always meet my clients as a matter of principle. I've never taken requests by telephone or mail. And why is that? That's because I value the trust between a client and myself above all else. And the only way to establish that is to speak to the client while looking them in the eye. Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance? Nope. Why he meets his clients is not important, and that wasn't the point. Witness, please stop sidestepping my questions. What do you mean by that? My question was, did you really meet Adrian Andrews in person? I've already told you, Mr. Wright, I did. It was only through talking with him face to face that I began to trust him. Ah! That's when I thought, I can trust this person as a client. It's true what they say about talking face to face. Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance? Yes! I don't even care about the last one! That was important! Why did you say he? If I heard what I think I heard just now, then I think I've got him. Your Honor, I believe the testimony just now was of the utmost importance. Huh? Really? If that's the case, witness, please include the statement just now in your testimony. Very well. There we go. From the moment I saw him, I thought I can trust this person as a client. Alright, let me go ahead and press the last one just to be sure. But no, we got it. So your client was Adrian Andrews? That is correct. Well, he says the two of them met. But if they did, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with the killer's testimony. There doesn't seem anything strange this time around. You have to draw more information from him, but you can't draw his suspicion. If you can do that, you should be able to find a flaw in his testimony somewhere. Talk about a delicate balance. From the moment I saw him, I thought I can trust this person. What do you mean? Oh, jeez, now we have him there. Really? Does this look like a man to you? I would like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at a bar and took the request at that time. Yes, that is correct. And that's when you thought he was trustworthy. How many times must I repeat myself? Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, but that is an impossible tale. What? Shelly the Killer. You have never met the real Adrian Andrews. Why would you say that? Because you made one very big slip-up about her. So what is the issue? What did you say just now? About her? If you had ever met Adrian Andrews in person, one look would have told you that she's a woman! The whole thing breaks. Order! Order in the court! Mister, right, what is the meaning of this? This witness testified to the following. That he always meets face-to-face with his clients when taking their request. But he's never met Adrian Andrews in person. Yes, Your Honor. That is exactly the point. That means Mr. the Killer's client could not have been Miss Adrian Andrews. What is happening to this thing? Mr. Edgeworth, I understand your logic on this one. However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake? I believe it has to do with her name, Your Honor. Her name? I always did find it weird that her name was Adrian. Like, that's usually a male name. Like, I didn't really question it because, you know, it's not uncommon, or at least not unheard of, that women take on, like, women have more male-centered names. In fact, that's usually how they become, like, more feminized anyway. Because just more baby girls are given what's predominantly male names. But yeah, like, that stuck out, but never enough to really question it. Yes, Adrian Andrews is without a doubt a very androgynous name. Yes, I see. Unluckily for Mr. the Killer, the entire time he was on the stand, no one had stated Adrian Andrews' gender. And so he simply picked the wrong gender to go with. What? What's going on? I mean, I've never heard of it, Adrian, from a girl before. Like, androgynous sounds more like gender neutral, which to me would be more like, say, Morgan or Taylor. Like, those are more gender neutral names. Adrian is not something that I would associate as being gender neutral. But again, like, even if it wasn't, it's still not unheard of. Shelly the Killer! This court demands an explanation. I think somehow I must have mixed up this client with another. So does that mean you remember something different now? Yes, of course. Please, if you would allow me to testify once more. Ugh, I know he's just going to spit out more lies. Very well, but this time, please give us the truth, and nothing but the truth.